Welcome back, folks, to Rapid Fire Leaked, and today we'll cover the WZ-120-1G FT. So this is going to be a premium tier 8 Chinese tank destroyer and supposed to be Chinese server exclusive, but yet somehow we already have the main data files in your 9.19 client for the other regions. So you already have the data for the model, the textual stuff, and the data sets for the stats of the vehicle in your main folder, the res folder, to World of Tanks. So it could be like the 59 patent, the WZ-111, or the 121B that was Chinese server exclusive, but became available after a certain amount of time. So pretty weird, I guess, but in essence, this vehicle is basically the Chinese version of a modified Type 59 tank destroyer. So it's their Su-122-54 doppelganger, I guess, but here is the in-game description. It's a variant of a tank destroyer based on the Type 59 medium tank. Plant designation WZ-120. They entered service in 1959. This vehicle only existed in blueprints. Now, technically, it's artistic rendering of a blueprint. So it's a secondhand copy of a blueprint of a design. So it's not the original copy. It could be highly fictitious, so who knows, but yeah, there are some doubts. So take it with a grain of salt, but yeah, tank destroyers were not really popular after the invention of high penetration, high explosive anti-tank shells or armor-piercing, thin-stabilized discarding sables with smoothbore guns instead of rifle guns during the Cold War era. So no more need of tank destroyers because your main tank gun for main battle tanks could just easily penetrate enemy vehicles. So no need for tank destroying per se, but yeah, it's the Chinese version of a Su-122-54 because the WZ-120, aka the Type 59, is a copy of a Russian T-54. So it's a Chinese version of a Su-122-54. So there are no actual data specification for the armor, for the gun, for whatever about the tank. So yeah, it's a paper tank in essence, but it's already in your game files. So we could see it and it could become available, unlike vehicles such as the Type 59 Gold or the Alpine Tiger, because the actual models are not in the game files for the other servers. But yet for this vehicle, it's already there and you can preview it. Weird enough, right? So here is in the game. As you can see, it's a very flat vehicle, basically taking the turret off of a Type 59, putting a small superstructure and a modified 122mm, and that's a tank destroyer for you. So you can preview this vehicle, currently already in the game, but it's like a tier 8 version of a Su-122-44 or a lower tiered Su-122-54, but it's the first Chinese tank destroyer per se in the game. So yeah, really excited. And the gun is like the 122 that's on the 121 at tier 10, but it's at tier 8, so it's a tank destroyer version of the gun. So flat vehicle, super sneaky, similar to the Swedish STRV S1. So like the S tank, it's very stealthy and does pack a little bit more punch in terms of alpha compared to the 105, but doesn't have the penetration, obviously. So here are the main stats for this vehicle. As you can see, here is the collision model. The upper plate is 120mm, well sloped, and this will defeat same tier medium tank guns with about 190-ish millimeters of pen. So like the Russian T-44, will have a hard time penetrating this upper plate. So there are spare track links in the middle, providing extra armor. Lower plate is relatively weak, so penetrate here. But most of the time, this vehicle has 6 degrees of gun depression compared to the usual 4 degrees on Russian variants, such as the Su-122-54. So technically, this thing could haul down like an Object 140-esque of a small haul down position with smaller hills or cover. But yeah, you could bounce a few shots if you angle it after each shot. So angle your hull and gun depress, yeah, 235 millimeters. That's pretty good. And at a range, that's good against most tier 8 heavy tanks gun, other than large calibers like the 128 on the Mammoth. So yeah, armor's not that bad. Side armor is garbage, obviously. 80 millimeter and 60 between the tracks. So nothing there. Don't get shot at the sides. Rear armor is 30 for the superstructure, 40 for the rear of the hull. So like any tank destroyer, rely on the front, but mostly rely on stealthiness, as you can see with the actual stats. So camouflage value is off the charts. It's 40.5% stationary. So this is really close to the Hellcat. As you can see, the M18 Hellcat has worse camouflage rating than this vehicle. So this is even more stealthy than the Hellcat. Let's check out the E25 just to be sure. So in comparison to the E25, only 4.1%, 4.05% less. So it's a real stealthy tank destroyer that packs a punch. So penetration is 248 millimeters, and this is a premium tank, so that's pretty good for a tier 8. It's about the average, but the best penetration is 288 or 286, which is the ISU's BL10 or the Swedish 105. So, it's alright. 440 alpha, but DPM is pretty crazy. 2,800. And with the addition of advanced equipments and vents and rammer, that's pretty scary. So, it's a really high alpha, whereas the average is 2,450. That's one shell more. About one shell more damage worth in a minute. That's cray cray. That's like a tier 9's DPM. Tier 10s are lower, like 2,700. So yeah, it packs a punch. Reloads every 9 seconds with the rammer and 8.5 or so with all the fancy equipments. Yeah, only 35 rounds though, so it's like the Su-122-54 in terms of ammo capacity, but just make your shots count and you should have no problem with the penetration, unlike the IS-6, which is 175 for the 122, so it only has like 30 rounds. 35 rounds is a little bit better and the penetration is better, so you shouldn't have that hard of a time using all your shots and making your shots count, so running out of ammo. But shell velocity is slightly below average by 9 meters per second. Not that bad. Accuracy, however, it's Russian, but it's not as bad as you think. So 0.355 is average. It's not bad. And 2.78 seconds of aim time, that's kinda bad, but you could help that with enhanced gun lane drive or super enhanced gun lane drive from rank battles, so that could help. And put vents or super vents, so not that bad. And gun depression of 6 degrees, a lot better than the 4 on the Su-122-54. Elevation of 15, it's average, so cannot do much, but it does have 20 degrees of gun arc, so it's not limited in terms of going from side to side with the gun. So this will feel better than the ISU, will feel a lot better than the ARL V39 or the Toaster at tier 5. So this gun arc is relatively comfortable adjusting to targets back and forth or side to side. So, and hull traverse, turret traverse is the gun movement speed, but hull traverse and turret traverse is pretty fast. It's like a medium tank's traverse. Horsepower per ton ratio 16.11, medium tank. Hull traverse 42, fast. Top speed 50 kilometers per hour, that's pretty good. And reverse is 20, so reverse out of a bush pretty well. Terrain resistance is above average, so that's good. And this thing will have like a Type 59 feel or medium tanks mobility, but it has a punch than a medium tank's 100mm at the same tier. Health is below average, but it should be stealthy, so don't depend on the health to save you. But it has pretty good view range for a tank destroyer, similar to the older view range of tank destroyers before the nerf, before the global nerf to TD's view range. So 380 is very good. 600 meters of radio range, it's fine. But camo is pretty insane. It's a premium tank, so makes more credits and crew XP. And weighs 36 tons. So you could ram a few light tanks like the AMX 13s or the Bulldogs or T-71s, but use the gun. Just use the gun. So in essence, here are some final thoughts and opinions. So currently it's Chinese server exclusive, but it's already in your game file for the other servers. So it could follow the 59 patent, the 121B, WZ-111 or the T44-100 and become available after a certain amount of time. So it's already in your game files. All they have to do is flip a switch and make this available to the rest of the players. So who knows, but it has pretty good armor against same tier light tanks, medium tanks, and heavy tanks because it's about 220mm effective, and if you angle it by turning the hull, it's 235. So that's pretty decent, and they need gold shell to pen. So it does require less skill, I guess, than the STRV S1 because that vehicle has better sloping and less armor, but this vehicle is a little bit more reliable in terms of thicker armor and decent sloping. So yeah, pretty good. Has good horsepower per ton ratio, terrain resistance, top speed, traverse, and view range. So it's like a medium tank with the view range, but it's a tank destroyer that packs a punch. So what's insane is the DPM without penetration or alpha drawback. So what I mean by this is, usually tanks with a lot of DPM have low penetration and low alpha. So vehicles like the Yak Tiger 88, AT-15 has relatively low penetration for their guns and low alpha, but the counterbalance is the high DPM. So for this vehicle, it has the high DPM, but the penetration is not bad. 250mm of pen for AP shell, not bad. And the alpha is also pretty decent, 440. So it packs a wallop, and it has a lot of camouflage rating. So it's sneaky. It packs a punch. Has some good armor against same tier vehicles. So if it's top tier, holy crap. But the accuracy is not that good. Aim time, gun angles, up and down. But 6 degrees of gun depression is not bad compared to the 4 for SU-122-44 and 54. Yeah, 6 degrees is like a godsend. And ammo count, 35 rounds. Might be an issue if you spam a lot, but don't spam a lot. Health is below average, but it's a tank destroyer, obviously, cannot be a heavy tank. So it will feel like an upgraded version of a SU-122-44 at tier 8 at the slight cost of DPM. So this thing has less DPM than the tier 7 SU-122-44. So very scary that a tier 7 has like 3000 DPM. But then again, we have that vehicle, we have the E25, so a lot of players have been ranting about the SU-122-44 for a long time. Hasn't been nerfed yet, or a downgraded version of a SU-122-54 at tier 8, but with premium status, so make more credits, crew XP, all the good stuff. And Gold Shell is high explosive anti-tank at 310mm of pen, so that's pretty reliable against tier 8 and tier 10s. But for the SU-122-44, the D25T variant with 217mm of APCR shell, it's not as good against tier 9s, especially with stuff like Type 4s or VK100-01s and VK4502P OSBs or Mammoths at tier 8, you know what I mean, but the Moist Hen, the Mouse Chen, whatever. So, yep. Super high DPM without penetration or alpha drawback. So, yeah, scary, but mobility is very close to the Romtail Scorpion Waffenträger or the STRV S1, but this vehicle has better terrain resistance and hull traverse, so will feel a little bit more mobile than those medium tank-esque of a TD based TD, I guess, whatever. But camouflage rating is very sneaky, close to the STRV S1 or the UDS 03, but you don't have to deal with the switching to siege mode, so you can just fire and move, and fire and back away, without having to press the hull lock to turn into siege mode or turn out of, so getting artillery in the meantime. But is it worth it? Well, it will do a lot better than the STRV S1 as a credit grinder when the matchmaker gives you a city map or a corridor map. So more consistency with the matchmaking and in terms of money making potential, but it will be able to train all Chinese tank destroyers crew, since all of them requires a commander, gunner, driver, and loader. So very universal for all the various tank destroyers on the Chinese TD line. And considering how the SU-122-44 is one of the best tier 7s, premium, and considering the new matchmaker after 9.18, I think it's really worthwhile to have this vehicle. But currently, it's Chinese server exclusive and a lot of stuff on there is super unbalanced, so who knows. But what could you say about this vehicle that's bad? Accuracy is actually average, but yeah, 0.355 is not that bad. For a Russian gun, not really that bad. 2.78 seconds of aim time, that's bad, but it's not like the ISU-152s, like 3.2 seconds. So people make the BL-10 work, the 152mm work. They will make this gun work. So, not a problem, but this vehicle is relatively fast. Has decent armor against same tier vehicles. Super sneaky. What's not to like? What's bad about it? I don't know. So, yeah, it's pretty worth it. So stay tuned for the full line coverage for all the vehicles in the Chinese tank destroyer line that's supposedly exclusive to the Chinese server, but there are a lot of them and it's a lot of work only to be one server exclusive. So, but there are a lot of vehicles for me to cover, so I'll get right on it. But thank you guys for watching this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.